All right. So it's January 1st, 2021, right? And I just wanted to like share a bit of my like hair journey because I went bald on December 30th, right? So this would be my like third day with my like freeform locks. I mean, it's bald now, but like to me, it's like my third day freeforming because that's the intent. I just wanted to share like the reason as to why I went bald again because this is my third time going bald, and there's a lot of like intent and reasoning behind it, and I feel like just sharing that will give a bit more perspective on like hair and like how we treat our bodies and just like a lot of things in general. So I had twisted locks in like high school, right? Like the end of high school, right? And then at twisted locks, a fade all around, like two parts on the side, and then this like one huge part like going through like the middle, right? So it looked cool, right? But it was just like a lot of like time and maintenance going to the salon to get it like twisted and going to the barber to get the shape up and the haircut like every week or every 2 weeks. It was just like a lot of time and money, and it was a bit overwhelming. So like I cut those, and then I started to like freeform because I heard like it's a more simple organic process and you really don't have to do anything. So originally it was just to be more minimal and like sustainable myself. That was an original reason why I got the like freeform locks. But as I started to like grow them out, right, I was kind of like rushing it in a sense, right? But because I wanted them to come quick, you know, because with our hair, we're used to like just like getting it twisted, getting it cut, and everything coming like quick to us. Like we're in this whole tender microwave generation, and that like translates to the way that we treat our bodies as well. We expect these things to come quick, but the way I wanted them to come out, they weren't going to come out that way, especially for like freeform locks, because they're very like individualized to the person, right? And I would look online, I'm like, oh my god, her locks look so cool, his locks look so cool. I hope that they come out like that, right? But they didn't come out like that, and plus it took like even a year for my first lock to bud. And the funny thing is, right, when I stopped pressuring myself about my hair, that's when the first locked bud. You feel me? And it's like with lock, I recommend any indigenous or like melanated person or any person in general, honestly, just try a lot locking hair to just see. It teaches you so much like patience, right? And with like freeform locks, especially because it's like they're literally you. Like you don't do anything to it. You don't have to touch it. It's just like your body naturally like creating the hair. It's like your innate bodily instinct creating it. You feel me? And it's like I feel like the more you accept your hair, the more you will find you accept yourself. And like the longer my locks grew, my like self-esteem and like confidence started to grow a lot. Because people treat you differently based upon how you look, right? And especially with hair. I know that like women notice especially because they like manipulate the hair like a lot. You feel me? But it's like they treat you differently based on your hair, right? And like with I had a lot of different hairstyles, right? I had like I had waves, I had braids, I had an afro, I had locks, I had freeform locks, right? And I realized regardless of like what style I put my hair in, there will always be people who liked it and there will always be people who like didn't like it. So I realized the only person who I could really satisfy is myself, right? So as my hair started to grow and I started to love it in its organic natural state, I found myself starting to like accept me and like myself in my organic natural state. And it was just like it became a full-blown like spiritual journey, and I didn't really think it would be like that because I was just trying to save money and time, right? But the longer I went on my journey, my like confidence grew, you know, because like all society, well, majority of society, right, is gonna look at you like, what the fuck, you feel me? Because you're in this modern society and you're supposed to conform, you're supposed to be trim, you're supposed to be straight cut, you're supposed to be like twisted, you're supposed to be maintained, you're supposed to be like, you know how we took wolves and made dogs? That's basically what society wants to do to us. They want us to make us like this passive and like agreeable to all the standards and the norms. But who made up these standards and these norms? You know, we didn't make that stuff up. We're going by other people's standards and norms, especially as melanated or like black people. These beauty standards aren't the beauty standards that our original indigenous people had. Like if you go back before in time, before we interacted with like people from other lands, our beauty standards were based upon people in our communities now. But now we look online, and then there's all these different features about people who aren't even from our communities, which is absurd. Like how could you have a beauty standard about a people that isn't even you? You would never reach that standard because it's not meant for you. But anyway, I'm I'm going off, but I'm very excited to get back on my freeform journey because when I was in that state, my like self-esteem and self-confidence was like at the top I think it's ever been in my life. Like I'm a fairly like confident person in general, but when I had my freeform locks, it also created like a barrier in a sense, you know, because we know about like yoga and meditation, and like this is like the crown chakra, right? And it's like once I had my freeform locks, it's like I had a layer of like protection. That's also the other reason I want to get them, because I feel like it'll just block certain people from coming in, you know? Because if you have like freeform locks or you have your afro, people will interact with you differently. Like, and people who have afros and locks, they will tell you that. Like, people interact with you differently. So once they see my locks, like a Babylonic, like a systematic leeching type person, I feel like they will be a bit more wary because they know I'm not really for their standards and I'm not really for their norms. I'm my own person, I'm my own individual, and I won't follow your standards and your norms. You feel me? So that's the other reason, that form of like protection. And the crazy thing is, right, once I cut my freeform locks last time, that was the first time I got sick in like years, bro. And I was speaking to like my mom and like this other like older woman I really respect, and there was like, that was like your protection, you know, that was like your barrier. And especially it wasn't like winter, it's like my head was just like, it was over, bro. And I felt like so like bad. And like, if you don't believe what I'm saying, right, there's a lot of science behind this as well. Like if you look into the Native American culture, the Sikh culture, even parts of Hinduism, all these cultures and all these people, they see the value and the power in here. And even if you go to like Samson in the Bible, there's all these throughout history, there's all these analogies and like connections with hair and like the significance of it or the insignificance of it. I find it interesting that like monks, they cut their hair to be like detached, right? And I kind of feel the same with like freeform locks. Like I grow my hair to be detached. I know it might sound like oxymoronic, but I'm letting go of all the standards that aren't natural. You feel me? Because once I have my like freeform locks, I'll walk in the forest, right? And I'm like, yo, like that's me. Like you feel like you just feel different. Like when you're out in nature, you feel different. But yeah, I'm just excited to like get back on my like lock journey, and I hope it like once you see me on my journey, it might like tick or like spark something in you, so you could like research either the scientific aspect of hair or the spiritual aspect of hair. But yeah, just know your hair is sacred, and no, you do not have to manipulate it or yourself in any way. You feel me? You have to once you fully accept yourself, the world will like be more likely to accept you. But if you keep conforming to their standards, they're never really going to accept you because you're conforming to them. Just